I disguised myself as a man and achieved the second highest score in the imperial examination. But the moment I untied my chest binder and sank into the bathtub, the bathroom door was pushed open. Crown Prince Xiao Xuanjing stood at the door, his gaze piercing through the steam and fixed on my chest. You are a woman. My entire life has been like walking on thin ice, just to keep this secret from others. Ever since I can remember, loose robes and wide sleeves became my daily attire. My mother would secretly bind my chest at night, teach me to speak in a rough voice and walk with a swagger. She forbade me from touching rouge and powder, and also from crying like a sissy. Qing outside, you are the legitimate son of the Mu family, remember this. If you reveal any flaws, neither of us will survive. My father died early and my brother is frail and sickly. The burden of the entire family fell on my shoulders early on. To support the family, I studied diligently for 10 years, and achieved the second highest score in the imperial examination, thus entering the officialdom. Life as an official was far smoother than I had imagined. A monthly salary of 500 shi ensured that the entire family, young and old, had enough to eat and wear. In court, I offered direct advice. After court, I would go to restaurants with my colleagues to listen to music and relax. I lived the life of that infinitely glorious young man in the eyes of the world. I once thought that as long as I continued to pretend, I could live a peaceful life like this. But this contentment was eventually shattered by Crown Prince Xiao Xuanjing. That day after court, I was summoned to the Eastern Palace study to discuss official matters. The Crown Prince temporarily left the room. Bored, I looked around, and unexpectedly found an unfinished painting on the desk. The man in the painting was young and fair with an elegant demeanor. The more I looked, the more familiar he seemed. I suddenly realized that the person in the painting was actually me. Recalling how during discussions with the Crown Prince, he would occasionally lose himself in thought, an absurd idea came to mind. Could the Crown Prince be gay? I fled in panic. Returning home, there was another trouble at home. After my grandmother came to the capital, she was determined to get me married. She brought her distant relative Su Wanru to our home, nominally to keep her company, but in reality she wanted to force me to marry her. Su Wanru was sweet-tongued and eager to help with chores, keeping my grandmother completely charmed. But I saw through her intentions at a glance. She was using me as a stepping stone to climb higher. Her eyes were full of calculation when she looked at me. As expected, she started playing tricks. While I was away, she placed her pearl hairpins and earrings in my study, making it look like we were having an affair. I was angry, but out of respect for my grandmother, I endured it for the time being. A few days later, the Crown Prince suddenly took out a painting and asked me, "Investigator Mu, what do you think of this painting?" My heart skipped a beat. Isn't this the painting I saw last time? This is a sketch of you at your desk with a refined and elegant bearing. I casually drew a draft, see if it captures your spirit. Cold sweat broke out on my back and I thought it's over. This time I've really encountered a homosexual. Returning home, I happened to see Su Wanru directing a maid to arrange her jewelry on my bookshelf. Seeing me return, she immediately put on a pitiful act. "Cousin, I think your place is too plain. Adding something for you." I coldly told her to take it away and she immediately started crying. Her crying attracted Grandma. As soon as Grandma saw me, she scolded me. "Wanru kindly helped you, she is so virtuous. Why are you so fierce? You guys should hurry up and finalize the marriage." I made excuses about being busy with official duties and not wanting to get married. Su Wanru cried even harder, clearly acting. I sneered and picked up a pearl hairpin. "Cousin, this is something from the palace. Where did you get it?" Her expression changed and she said it was a replica. "This pattern can only be made in the palace, it can't be replicated." She had no choice but to admit she took it from my drawer. She thought I was going to give it to her. Although Grandma was angry about her sticky fingers, she still protected her. I had no choice but to let it go. But I knew in my heart that I had to get rid of her quickly. But I didn't expect her to be so bold. The next day after returning from court, I was very tired. I was resting in the study. She brought me a cup of tea. "Cousin, you've worked hard. Have some tea." Although I was annoyed with her, I still took a perfunctory sip. The tea was quite fragrant. But it wasn't long before I felt my whole body go weak and I was dizzy. I looked at her. The smile on her face was long gone. Only calculation remained. My heart sank. Oh no, I've been tricked. I wanted to stand up and call for help, but I had no strength at all. I watched helplessly as she helped me towards the room. Finally, I completely fainted. When I woke up again, I saw Su Wanru lying on top of me. "Cousin, as long as we have consummated the marriage, you will have to marry me. I am determined to be the wife of the third-place scholar." I trembled with anger and wanted to push her away, but the drug hadn't worn off. I couldn't move at all. She held me tightly, muttering incessantly that she wanted to marry me. Just then, the door was kicked open. I looked up and saw it was Crown Prince Xiao Xuanjing. He saw the situation in the room. His face instantly darkened. He grabbed Su Wanru's arm and pulled her off the bed. "Shameless! How dare you do such a despicable thing!" Su Wanru was dragged away. She didn't recognize the Crown Prince. She even had the audacity to curse. "Who do you think you are? How dare you interfere in my business?" As soon as she finished speaking, Grandma and my mother rushed in. Grandma saw the pattern on the Crown Prince's clothes at a glance. Her legs went weak and she knelt down. "This humble woman greets your highness the Crown Prince. I didn't know your highness was here. I deserve to die." Su Wanru heard the words "your highness the Crown Prince." Her face instantly turned pale. She quickly knelt on the ground. Her arrogant demeanor was completely gone. She trembled all over. "Your highness the Crown Prince." This commoner was blind and spoke nonsense. "Please spare my life." I took advantage of the chaos and tried to stand up. The drug hadn't completely worn off, but I could stand with some effort. Grandma got up, grabbed me and said urgently, Wanru is like this, you must marry her. Otherwise how can our Mu family save face? What about your future? Old madam, it was Wanru who drugged Qing. How can Qing marry her? Isn't this harming us, Qing? What's there to be wronged about? It's normal for men to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Things have come to this point. Are you going to make Wanru lose face? I will never marry her. She drugged me. I am innocent with her. I would rather not get married for the rest of my life than have such a poisonous woman. Grandmother was so angry that she trembled all over when she saw how determined I was. She kept scolding me for being unfilial. If Mu Donghua says he won't marry, who else dares to force him? Su Wanru drugged and framed an imperial official attempting to force a marriage. Infatuated and Shang, grandmother didn't dare to say anything more now. Seeing this, Su Wanru turned to the crown prince and kowtowed. Your Highness, I was foolish for a moment. I just like my cousin too much. Please spare me. Foolish for a moment? I think you were plotting all along. Seeing that begging wouldn't work, Su Wanru suddenly got up and tried to hit the wall, shouting that if she wasn't married, she would die here, but the move was clearly fake. Trying to force me with death? I won't fall for this. You just insulted me, which is a great disrespect according to the law. And you dared to slander an imperial official, which is an even greater crime. Guards, your servant is here. Drag her away. Imprison her and await trial. The guards dragged Su Wanru away. She cried and begged for mercy all the way. Seeing Su Wanru being arrested, grandmother knelt down again to beg the crown prince. Your Highness, Wanru is young and ignorant. Please spare her for Qingyi's sake. The crown prince glanced at her. If you dare to force Mu Donghua to marry again or plead for such a person again, this crown prince will hold your entire Mu family accountable. Don't talk about your future then. None of your family will be able to stay in the capital. Grandmother was so scared that she quickly kowtowed and admitted her mistake. Then the crown prince told them all to leave. In the room only the crown prince and I were left. The atmosphere suddenly became very awkward. I was sweating, and I could still smell Su Wanru's perfume. It was unbearable, so I asked to take a bath first. The crown prince nodded and I turned to go to the bathroom. I took off my outer clothes and soaked in the tub. The fatigue in my body finally eased a little. As I was relaxing, the bathroom door was suddenly pushed open. I looked up and saw it was the crown prince. I was so scared that I quickly covered my chest. My whole body was ice cold, but the skin where his gaze swept over was burning hot. The crown prince stood at the door for a long time without moving or speaking. My mind went blank. Just when I thought he was really going to walk in, he suddenly turned around and faced away from me. Get dressed and come to the study. After saying that, he left. I fumbled to put on my clothes and pushed the door open. When I went out, the crown prince was standing in the corridor. Hearing the movement, he turned his head with a calm expression, as if he hadn't been the one who barged into the bathroom just now. Why is your face still so pale? But you were frightened just now, or perhaps the lingering effects of the drug haven't worn off. I am fine. Thank you for your concern, your highness. Fine, your hands are still shaking. I subconsciously tightened my sleeves. He ordered the eunuch waiting nearby to summon an imperial physician. I was so scared that my palms started sweating. If the imperial physician took my pulse, my secret of being a woman would be exposed immediately. Your highness, wait a moment. I deliberately frowned, pretending to be in pain. This hidden illness of mine has been a heart ailment since childhood. Even an imperial physician cannot diagnose it by taking my pulse. Instead, it will spread like wildfire, making me a laughingstock in court. A heart ailment? Then why were you drinking alone at Tianxiang Tower every day before? It's for this. The eunuch following him couldn't help but interject. Lord Mu, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince also has good intentions. The imperial physician is highly skilled, perhaps he can really cure it. I cursed this meddlesome eunuch in my heart. I immediately glared at him. Your Excellency, you may not know. My illness was incurable by renowned doctors back then. If the imperial physician cannot find the cause of the illness today, wouldn't it be said that the imperial hospital is incompetent if it gets out? Then it will be the royal family's reputation that is tarnished. The crown prince also pondered. Indeed, if it cannot be cured, it will be criticized. Fine, since you are unwilling. Then let's not mention the imperial physician. I just breathed a sigh of relief and he continued. But your illness cannot be ignored. From today onwards, I, the crown prince, will come to your mansion every day after the court to personally supervise your recovery. My heart skipped a beat. Isn't this more troublesome? Seeing each other every day will eventually reveal the truth. I was about to send the crown prince away. At this moment, the butler suddenly reported. My lord, Imperial Censor Wang is here and has something important to see you about. Imperial Censor Wang Song, the one who has always disliked me, relying on his status as a veteran of 3 dynasties, always provoking me in court. His arrival at this time must not be good. The crown prince's eyes lit up. Oh, Imperial Censor Wang, let him in. My heart was pounding. Wang Gao, if he sees the crown prince in my mansion, coupled with the rumors from Tianxiang Tower before, he will surely gossip again. As expected, as soon as Wang Song entered, he was first stunned to see the crown prince. Then his gaze fell on me. Lord Mu, you have great taste. In broad daylight, not only are you hiding women's clothing in your mansion, but you also trouble His Royal Highness the Crown Prince to visit personally. What good fortune you have. Wang Gao, in order to bring me down, his spy planted in my mansion, unintentionally discovered my personal women's clothing. For this I can only pretend to be indifferent. Imperial Censor Wang, your words are mistaken. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is here to discuss important matters with me. As for women's clothing, it's just my personal hobby. Whom does it concern? On the other hand, Imperial Censor, instead of working properly in court, you came to my mansion to pry into private matters. Is this the duty of an imperial censor? Wang Gao's face turned green with anger and he was about to retort. The Crown Prince spoke. Imperial Censor Wang, I the Crown Prince am here. How dare you be presumptuous? Lord Mu is a pillar of the court. His hobbies, I the Crown Prince have not said much. You are too meddlesome. Wang Song was so scared that he quickly bowed and saluted. I dare not. I just heard that Lord Mu is dissolute. I came to remind you to be mindful of your conduct. Instead of reminding me, why don't you manage yourself first, Imperial Censor? The matter of your son forcibly abducting a civilian girl last time hasn't been resolved yet, has it? Wang Song's face instantly turned pale. He couldn't say a word. The Crown Prince looked at me, his eyes full of smiles. Alright, Imperial Censor Wang, you can withdraw if there's nothing else. Don't disturb Lord Mu and me from discussing matters here. Wang Song left dejectedly. I breathed a sigh of relief. Just as I was about to thank the Crown Prince, I saw him lean closer. Ching, the way you were just now to Wang Song was truly beautiful. By the way, I have prepared wine in the East Palace tonight. Come have a couple of drinks with me, and tell me about your troubles. Looking at his face so close, my heart raced. This Crown Prince is clearly becoming more and more attentive to me. If I go to the Eastern Palace tonight, who knows what might happen, but I don't dare refuse. After all, he is the heir apparent. I can't afford to offend him. Just as I was caught between a rock and a hard place, the Crown Prince suddenly reached out and gently touched the tips of my hair. If you don't come, I'll come to your manor to pick you up myself. With that, he turned and left. Tonight's appointment at the Eastern Palace. Should I go or not? If I go, will my identity be exposed? I agonized over it all afternoon. In the end, I decided to go to the Eastern Palace. After all, the Crown Prince had said as much. If I didn't go, it would seem like I was guilty. In the evening, I arrived at the Eastern Palace with my attendant AFU. I saw the Crown Prince dressed in a moon-white casual robe, standing at the entrance waiting for me. You're finally here. The Crown Prince smiled and came forward, reaching out to pat my shoulder. I instinctively dodged. His hand froze in midair, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. Your Highness, there is a distinction between ruler and subject. This action is inappropriate. I quickly bowed to conceal my panic. The Crown Prince smiled and didn't insist further. Let's go, the banquet is ready. The banquet at the Eastern Palace was lavish, filled with chicken, duck and fish. There was also fine wine. The Crown Prince kept piling food onto my plate, and constantly urged me to drink. Ching, try this. It's freshly made by the Imperial kitchen. It tastes good. I didn't dare drink too much, fearing I might say something I shouldn't when drunk. Each time I only took a small sip, but the Crown Prince drank heartily and became more talkative. Ching, do you know that the first time I saw you, I felt you were different from others? Other officials were either obsequious and flattering, or timid and hesitant. Only you dared to speak frankly in court. I inwardly thought, this is bad. This topic is getting too intimate. I quickly changed the subject. Your Highness, you flatter me. I was merely doing my duty. Just then several men in black suddenly burst in from outside the door, wielding swords and shouting that they would kill the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince pulled me behind him, drew his sword and met them. With me, the Crown Prince here, who dares to be presumptuous? Hiding behind the Crown Prince, I was both shocked and scared. Just as a man in black holding a sword was about to strike the Crown Prince's back, I had a sudden inspiration. I grabbed the wine pot from the table and smashed it hard. The wine pot hit the man in black squarely on the head, causing him to fall to the ground. The Crown Prince seized the opportunity to turn, and his sword pierced the shoulder of another man in black. Seeing this, the remaining men in black no longer wanted to fight, and quickly retreated. The Crown Prince looked at me, his eyes full of surprise. Ching, I didn't expect you to be so brave. Panting, I was about to speak, when I realized my chest binding had loosened during the struggle. My chest rose slightly. The Crown Prince's gaze fell on my chest. His expression changed and he suddenly reached out as if to touch my clothes. Why does your clothing seem? My heart leapt into my throat. Could he have found out? Your Highness, we're here. The Crown Prince's hand stopped. I withdrew my gaze and said to the guard, hurry up and chase. The Crown Prince turned his head to look at me. Ching, you were startled tonight. Why don't you stay in the East Palace? So that this Crown Prince can rest assured. I was completely stunned staying in the East Palace. If I sleep at night, won't I be more easily exposed? But looking at the Crown Prince's unrefusable gaze, how can I refuse him? Your Highness, this is not appropriate. I still have important matters to attend to in my mansion. If I stay overnight in the East Palace, I am afraid it will cause gossip that I am trying to curry favor with the Crown Prince. Whoever dares to gossip, I will make you stay. Whoever dares to speak, let alone there were assassins tonight. I am worried about you going back alone, he said as he spoke, and had someone take me to the side hall to rest. He didn't give me a chance to refuse at all. Entering the side hall, I closed the door immediately. Quickly checked the chest binder. Fortunately, it was only a little loose, not completely undone. I retightened it. I prayed in my heart that nothing would go wrong tonight. I don't know how long it's been. I vaguely heard footsteps outside the door, and woke up with a start. My heart skipped a beat. Could it be that the assassin is back? I quickly got out of bed, found a wooden stick, held it in my hand and hid behind the door. The door was gently pushed open and a dark figure walked in. I held my breath, and as the dark figure approached, I suddenly raised the wooden stick and smashed it. Unexpectedly, the dark figure reacted quickly, grabbed my wrist, and a familiar voice came. Ching, it's me. It's actually the Crown Prince. I was so scared that I quickly let go. Your Highness, why are you here? This Crown Prince is worried about you and came to see. Who did you think it was? Just now an assassin. Yes, I heard a commotion just now and thought it was an assassin. The Crown Prince suddenly approached me. The ambergris on his body wafted towards me. His hand gently rested on my shoulder. Ching, you are really different tonight. Usually you are brave and fearless in the Imperial Court, but just now in the side hall you seemed very scared. I subconsciously took a step back. but accidentally bumped into the table behind me. The teacup on the table fell to the ground and shattered. Just then Apis' voice came from outside the door. Your Excellency, are you alright? I took the opportunity to say, Your Highness, I am a little tired and need to rest. Please go back. The Crown Prince looked at me deeply and said nothing more, turned around and left. Watching his retreating back, I breathed a sigh of relief. As soon as dawn broke, I quickly woke up AFU and slipped out of the East Palace. Unexpectedly at the morning court, Wang Song jumped out, pointing at my nose and scolding. Your Majesty, Mu Tanhua is an official of the Imperial Court. Stayed overnight in the East Palace last night and spent the whole night with His Highness the Crown Prince. This violates the etiquette between ruler and minister and is prone to gossip. There are also rumors that he keeps women's clothing in his mansion and behaves improperly. Such a person is not fit to hold a high position. All the civil and military officials in the court looked at me with different expressions. I sneered in my heart, this old guy is not letting me go. Before the emperor could speak, I stepped forward. Your Majesty, I have something to say. Last night the East Palace was attacked. His Highness the Crown Prince was worried about my safety, so he let me stay temporarily. There were guards and eunuchs as witnesses throughout the process. My discussion with His Highness was only about the assassins and there was nothing inappropriate. As for the women's clothing that Imperial Censor Wang mentioned, it is merely my personal hobby, and does not interfere with official duties. I changed the subject and stared at Wang Song. As for Censor Wang, the day before yesterday I heard that your son forcibly abducted a civilian girl. He was reported to the county yamen by the people. Not only did you not discipline your offspring, but you are here nitpicking about my private affairs. Are you trying to divert attention and cover up for your own son? As soon as these words were spoken, the court was in an uproar. Wang Song's face instantly turned red. You're talking nonsense, my son was slandered. I took out a piece of paper from my Y and waved it. Slander, this is a copy of the county yamen's case file. It contains your son's confession and the civilian girl's complaint. If your Majesty doesn't believe me, you can summon the county magistrate to the hall for a confrontation. Wang Song didn't expect me to have a backup plan. He was so scared that his legs went weak. He knelt on the ground with a thud. The emperor's face sank. Censor Wang's family upbringing is improper and he is unfit to manage state affairs. Effective immediately, you are fined 3 months of self-reflection in confinement. Discipline your offspring properly. I felt happy. This slap in the face was so satisfying. After the court session, the Crown Prince suddenly stopped me. Ching, the way you were in the court just now was truly heroic and dashing. He reached out to pat my shoulder. I instinctively dodged to the side. As a result, my movement was too large. The chest binding suddenly loosened, and my chest instantly rose and fell slightly. The Crown Prince's gaze froze, his eyes deepening. He reached out to touch my collar. Your clothes again. Just then a cough came from behind. The Crown Prince quickly withdrew his hand. This Crown Prince merely thinks the material of your clothes is good. I'll send you some bolts of fabric later. It was Prime Minister Gao who walked over. I was panicking and quickly cupped my hands. Thank you, Your Highness. This subject has matters to attend to, so I shall take my leave first. With that I turned and left. As soon as I got home, my mother pulled me into the room. Ching, did anything happen to you at the Eastern Palace last night? I heard there was an assassination attempt at the Eastern Palace last night. I patted her hand reassuringly. Mother, don't worry, I am fine. His Highness the Crown Prince protected me. As soon as I finished speaking, I remembered the hairpin I dropped in the side hall last night. That hairpin was specially made for me by my mother. It was carved with a small orchid. It was a style only women would use. Oh no, mother, my hairpin was dropped in the Eastern Palace. What should we do? If His Highness the Crown Prince picks it up, or if someone else takes it, won't my identity be exposed? As I was pacing anxiously, the steward suddenly ran in. My lord, someone from the palace is here. They say His Highness Xiao Xuanjing requests your immediate presence in the palace for an important discussion. My heart sank. The inevitable has come, calling me to the palace at this time. It's probably about the hairpin. In the study of the Eastern Palace, the Crown Prince sat in a chair, playing with something in his hand. It was my orchid hairpin. Ching, you're here. This Crown Prince found this in the side hall this morning. It looks like a woman's hairpin. How did it end up in your residence? My heart pounded rapidly as I forced myself to remain calm. Your Highness, this hairpin belongs to a distant cousin of this subject. She visited my residence yesterday and accidentally dropped it on me. This subject then brought it to the Eastern Palace. In the panic last night, it was dropped in the side hall. Oh, a distant cousin? This Crown Prince has never heard of you having such a cousin. Do you have such a cousin? The Crown Prince threw the hairpin at me. I caught the hairpin, my palms covered in sweat. I quickly changed the subject. Your Highness summoned this subject here. Surely not for a hairpin, right? Is there something important? Please, Your Highness, enlighten me. The Crown Prince stood up and walked step by step in front of me. His tone ambiguous. There is indeed something important. The assassin from last night has a lead. The mastermind behind it seems to be related to the third prince. This Crown Prince wants you to investigate this matter for me. The third prince Xiao Xuanjing has always been at odds with the Crown Prince, contending for the throne openly and secretly. I have heard of this matter long ago. Asking me to investigate him is not pushing me into the spotlight? Just as I was about to refuse, the Crown Prince said again. Only you can handle this matter and this Crown Prince will be at ease. As long as you succeed whatever you want in the future, this Crown Prince will give it to you. His gaze fell on my face, with a hint of unrefusable meaning. I had no choice but to bow and accept the order. Your subject obeys your decree. As soon as I walked out of the East Palace, I was stopped by a little eunuch. Lord Mu, Prime Minister Gao requests your presence. Prime Minister Gao is the father-in-law of the third prince. It's definitely not good news for him to look for me at this time. As expected in the Prime Minister's mansion, Prime Minister Gao sat at the head. His face gloomy. Lord Mu, do you know your crime? Prime Minister, what crime has this subject committed? Prime Minister Gao patted the table. What crime? You colluded with Xiao Xuanjing to slander Imperial Censor Wang. And now you dare to help Xiao Xuanjing investigate the third prince? I sneered. Prime Minister, this subject is merely acting on Imperial decree. As for Imperial Censor Wang, he got what he deserved. Prime Minister Gao was so angry that his beard bristled. Well said, you sharp-tongued brat. This old man gives you 3 days. Either resign and return to your hometown, or stand with the third prince. Otherwise your secret of cross-dressing as a man will be spread throughout the capital. My heart trembled violently. How could Prime Minister Gao know my secret? Before I could react, Prime Minister Gao's guards surrounded me and blocked the door. Lord Mu, have you thought it through? Are you cooperating with this old man? Or are you waiting to be ruined? Cold sweat broke out on my back. At this critical moment, a sound of horse hooves suddenly came from outside the door, followed by the Crown Prince's voice. Prime Minister Gao, how dare you touch someone from this Crown Prince? The Crown Prince broke in with his men, pulled me behind him, and looked at Prime Minister Gao with icy eyes. Prime Minister, in broad daylight, how dare you threaten a court official? Your Highness the Crown Prince, you misunderstand. This old man was merely discussing important matters with Lord Mu, and had no intention of threatening him. The Crown Prince sneered and put his arm around my shoulder. Discussing important matters? What important matters does this Crown Prince's person need to discuss with you? Or rather, are you trying to poach from this Crown Prince? So your Highness the Crown Prince values Lord Mu so much. This old man was presumptuous. With that, Prime Minister Gao cupped his hands and turned to leave. The guards also retreated. Only the Crown Prince and I were left. Thank you, your Highness, for saving my life. What thanks? You are this Crown Prince's person. Who dares to touch you? Is opposing this Crown Prince. He stared at my face and suddenly reached out to gently brush away the dust on my face. You were scared just now, weren't you? His fingertips touched my cheek. The warm touch sent a shiver down my spine. Your Highness, please be mindful of your conduct. The Crown Prince smiled and didn't press me further. Let's go follow this Crown Prince back to the Eastern Palace. Tell me properly what Prime Minister Gao said to you. Back at the Eastern Palace, I told him everything Prime Minister Gao had threatened me with. Only I didn't mention my secret of cross-dressing. The Crown Prince's face turned grim after listening. Don't worry, with this Crown Prince here, he wouldn't dare touch you. However, you still need to be very careful with the third prince. I nodded, but I knew in my heart, since Prime Minister Gao knows my secret, he definitely won't give up. Just as I was thinking, the Crown Prince suddenly said, Ching, this Crown Prince is hosting a banquet at the manor tonight. Invited a few ministers. You should come too. My heart skipped a beat. The banquet would be crowded with prying eyes. Wouldn't that be even more dangerous? I casually found an excuse to refuse. But the Crown Prince disagreed. Official duties can be handled anytime. You must attend tonight's banquet. This Crown Prince has someone prepare clothes for you. Guaranteed to make you stunning. He waved at the eunuch. The eunuch came in with a set of clothes. It was a moon-white brocade robe. It looked valuable, but looking at the clothes, I felt troubled. These clothes are more form-fitting than what I usually wear. There's no choice. Since the Crown Prince said so, I could only accept the clothes. Before leaving, the Crown Prince suddenly leaned closer to me. Ching, tonight's banquet. Don't disappoint this Crown Prince. Back at the manor, my mother was worried. Ching, tonight's banquet might be difficult to handle. You must be careful and don't reveal any flaws. I changed into the clothes and looked in the mirror repeatedly. Only after confirming there were no issues did I set off with AFU. The banquet was held in the Crown Prince's manor garden. As soon as I entered, I felt countless gazes fall upon me. Wang Song was also there. His gaze towards me seemed like he wanted to devour me alive. The Crown Prince smiled and came forward, taking my hand, and led me to sit beside the main seat. Everyone look. This is this Crown Prince's capable assistant, Mu Tanhua. Everyone chimed in, but I felt the warmth in my palm growing higher. The Crown Prince's hand had been holding mine, with no intention of letting go. Just then, the third Prince Xiao Xuanqing walked over with a wine cup. I've long heard that Mu Tanhua is exceptionally talented. Seeing him today, he truly lives up to his reputation. However, Mu Tanhua's delicate skin and tender flesh doesn't look like a man who has studied and practiced martial arts for years. As soon as he spoke, the entire hall fell silent. My heart tightened. Was the third prince trying to expose me? The Crown Prince's face darkened and he was about to speak. The third prince continued. How about this, Mu Tanhua, let's have a drink. If you can drink more than me, I'll believe you're a true man. Saying that, he handed me a cup of strong liquor. Just as I was in a difficult situation. Brother Ching is not good at drinking. This cup of wine, this prince will drink it for him. The third prince raised an eyebrow. Your Highness, this is a contest between me and Mu Tanhua. If you drink for him, wouldn't it make him seem useless? My Crown Prince's subordinate is not for you to bully. If you want to drink, this Crown Prince will drink with you. The two were at daggers drawn and the atmosphere instantly became tense. Looking at the situation before me, I was secretly anxious. What worried me even more was, I saw Wang Song in the corner. Secretly winked at a guard. The guard nodded and quietly withdrew. What are they trying to do? Are they going to attack me or the Crown Prince again? I picked up the strong liquor. Third Prince, if you wish, I will accompany you. The Crown Prince was stunned. Ching He, your Highness, don't worry, I can afford to lose. I tilted my head back and took a big gulp of strong liquor, the burning sensation in my throat. I poured a full glass for the third prince. Your turn, your Highness, you won't go back on your word, will you? The third prince didn't expect me to dare to drink. He had no choice but to drink 3 cups in a row and his face quickly turned red. I won this round. I raised my eyebrows and the whole room burst into laughter. The third prince gritted his teeth in anger but could not refute it. The banquet was halfway through and I slipped out to investigate. I heard the guards muttering. Prime Minister Gao ordered that Mu Thantwa be disgraced tonight. Make the crown prince dislike him. Just as I was about to retreat, suddenly someone covered my mouth and dragged me into the rockery. Qinghe, it's me. It was the crown prince. Before I could react, the third prince arrived with his men. The crown prince suddenly pushed me against the rockery wall. Don't speak. His face was extremely close to mine, his breath on my face. The third prince's footsteps were getting closer. If this posture were discovered, I wouldn't be able to wash myself clean even if I jumped into the yellow river. Footsteps approached outside the rockery. The crown prince circled my arms and held me tighter. The scent of ambergris mixed with body heat made my heart race. He stepped out. Third brother, what are you looking for? Your Highness, I saw Mu Thantwa had not returned. I was worried something might happen to him. This crown prince is just accompanying Qinghe for a breath of fresh air. Does third brother have any objections? The crown prince's imposing aura made the third prince leave in fear. The crown prince suddenly grabbed my hand. You are very different today. You are clearly scared, but you are pretending. Is there something you are hiding from me? Just as I was about to explain, a shout came from afar. The side hall is on fire. That's where I kept my spare clothes. I wanted to rush in but the crown prince stopped me. In the crowd, Prime Minister Gao sneered. I found a jade pendant by the fire. It was the third prince's personal item. The crown prince's eyes turned cold when he saw it. It seems I need to settle this properly. But at this moment a eunuch hurried over. Your Highness, His Majesty has suddenly fallen gravely ill and summons you to the palace immediately. His Majesty is gravely ill. Is this coincidence at this critical juncture? Qinghe, you go back to your residence first. I will investigate this matter when I return. He left in a hurry and I returned to my residence. My mother saw my panicked expression and quickly asked. When I told her about the banquet, my mother's face turned pale with fright. That jade pendant belongs to the third prince. He must have wanted to frame you. As soon as she finished speaking, the butler ran in. Sir, someone from the palace is here. They say His Majesty summons you to the palace immediately. My heart skipped a beat. They summoned me at this time. I am afraid it's nothing good. As soon as I entered the palace, I saw His Majesty lying on the dragon bed. His face was pale. Prime Minister Gao and the third prince stood by. Mu Thantwa, do you know your crime? I do not know what crime I have committed. I bowed in greeting. The third prince immediately jumped out. Father, your son has investigated the assassination attempt in the Eastern Palace before. And the fire at the banquet tonight. It was all done by Mu Thantwa colluding with outsiders. Your Majesty, what the third prince said is true. Mu Thanthua's residence was also found to have communications with rebels. Saying that the guard handed over a letter. The handwriting on it was an exact imitation of mine. The content was about colluding with rebels and attempting to rebel. Your Majesty, please see that this letter is forged. This minister has not colluded with the rebels. I was in a hurry to defend myself, but the emperor was gravely ill. He had lost his judgment. Imprison Mu Tanjia in the imperial prison and I will try him after I recover. The guards stepped forward to arrest me and I struggled. Your Majesty, I am being framed. The crown prince can testify for me. His Highness the crown prince is in a precarious situation himself right now. I was dragged out by the guards. The imperial prison was dark and damp. Once inside, let alone clearing my name, whether I could survive was questionable. Just then a familiar figure rushed over. Stop, who dares to touch my people? It's the crown prince. How did he get here? But behind him was the chief eunuch by the emperor's side. He held an imperial decree. The crown prince saw me, his eyes anxious. Qing, what's going on? But before I could explain, the chief eunuch spoke. Your Highness, His Majesty has an edict. Mu Tanjia's guilt is proven. He is to be immediately thrown into the imperial prison. The crown prince's face changed. The chief eunuch raised the imperial decree. Your Highness, this is His Majesty's personal imperial seal. It's best not to defy the imperial will. I looked at the crown prince, my heart in turmoil. The crown prince wanted to save me, but with the imperial decree he was powerless. I was thrown into the imperial prison. In the darkness, I heard people talking outside the door. It was the prime minister's men. They said I couldn't be allowed to leave the imperial prison alive. I cowered in the corner, my heart filled with panic and hatred. They want to kill me, what should I do? Just as I despaired, the prison door suddenly opened. A familiar figure walked in. Qing, it's me. It's Hongshou from Tianxiang Tower. How did she get here? I heard you were imprisoned. I specifically pulled some strings to come and see you. Hongshou took out a packet of dry rations from her and a small dagger. This is the silver I saved. Take it, perhaps you can bribe the jailers. This dagger is for your self-defense. They probably won't make things easy for you. I took the items, my eyes welling up. Hongshou, thank you. What for? I heard Prime Minister Gao has bribed the jailers. He plans to make a move on you tonight. You need to find a way to escape quickly. My heart tightened. They're making a move tonight? But the prison is heavily guarded, how can I escape? I know a jailer who owes me a favor. I've already spoken to him. He will come to help you open the cell door at midnight. Follow him through the secret passage. As soon as she finished speaking, footsteps were heard outside. Hongshou quickly hid. A jailer poked his head in. Who's in there? I quickly hid the items. No one, I was talking to myself. The jailer glared at me and left grumbling. Hongshou took the opportunity to leave in a hurry. The difficult hours passed and midnight finally arrived. The cell door was gently opened. Quick, follow me. I followed him into a narrow secret passage. As soon as we entered the secret passage, I heard shouts from behind us. Oh no, the prisoner has escaped. The jailer quickly quickened his pace. The exit is ahead. Just as we were about to reach the exit, a figure suddenly appeared ahead blocking our path. I was stunned. It was the Crown Prince. Qing, where are you going? Your Highness, I am being framed. I must escape. Clear the injustice. I know you were wronged, but you can't escape. If you run, you'll be confirmed as a traitor. Come back with me, I'll find a way to save you. Going back means death. Prime Minister Gao and the third prince won't let me go. With me here they wouldn't dare. Come back with me. Trust me. Just then the third prince's voice came from outside the secret passage. Mu Tanhua, you can't escape. You go first, I'll hold them off. Your Highness, know they have too many people, you'll get hurt. Don't worry, this Crown Prince isn't that weak. Hurry and leave through the exit, I have people waiting outside the city. He pushed me, turned and ran towards the pursuing soldiers. Xiao Xuanqing, this Crown Prince is here, come at me if you dare. Looking at his retreating back, my heart was warm and anxious. Gritting my teeth, I ran towards the exit of the secret passage. As soon as I emerged from the secret passage, I saw a carriage parked outside. Mu, dare and hurry and get in the carriage. Where is the Crown Prince? I quickly got into the carriage and explained that the Crown Prince was still in the secret passage. The coachman had no choice but to take me away first. The carriage sped towards the outskirts of the city. All the way I felt uneasy. Will the Crown Prince be alright? After an unknown amount of time the carriage suddenly stopped. Darren, we've arrived, you can get down now. I got out of the carriage and looked around, it was desolate and uninhabited. It didn't look like anyone was waiting for me. A sense of foreboding immediately arose in my heart. You're not the Crown Prince's man. Mu, Darren, did you really believe the Crown Prince would save you? Prime Minister Gao ordered your death. The coachman swung his saber at me and I quickly dodged. But I had never learned martial arts and was quickly forced into a corner. Suddenly a figure rushed out. Kicked the coachman away. It was AFU. How could he be here? Darren, I was worried about you and secretly followed. Leave these people to me. I didn't expect AFU to know some martial arts. He quickly dealt with the coachman, but as soon as I caught my breath a group of men in black rushed out from all around. The leader was Prime Minister Gao's bodyguard captain. Mu, Darren, surrender and be captured, so you don't have to suffer physical pain. Although AFU could fight, he couldn't withstand so many people. He was quickly wounded in the arm. I held the dagger, my palms sweating. Am I really going to die here today? Just then the sound of horses' hooves came from a distance. The leader, clad in silver armor, was the commander of the Imperial Guard. The Prime Minister colluded with rebels to harm a court official. His Majesty has decreed that all of you be apprehended. The men in black changed their expressions and turned to flee, but they were surrounded by the Imperial Guard and quickly subdued. The commander of the Imperial Guard walked up to me and bowed. Mu, Darren, the Crown Prince sent me to rescue you. The Crown Prince has already investigated and found that Prime Minister Gao forged evidence to frame you. His Majesty has awakened and summoned you back to the palace immediately. My heart rejoiced, the Crown Prince was alright, and he helped me clear my name. But as I was about to get into the carriage I saw Afis' pale face. He collapsed, clutching his chest. An arrow was stuck in his back. Hold on, I'll take you to see the Imperial physician. Darren, I am fine. You must live well. His voice grew weaker and my heart was filled with anxiety and pain. Mu, Darren, hurry and get in the carriage. AFU, and I got into the carriage, but my mind was full of questions. Why did Prime Minister Gao want me dead so badly? Was it just because I helped the Crown Prince investigate him? But I always felt that things were not that simple. As soon as we reached the palace gate I saw the Crown Prince standing there. He saw me and quickly ran over. Qing, are you okay? What happened to AFU? I shook my head. AFU, he was shot and is still unconscious. The Crown Prince's face sank. Don't worry, the Imperial physician will save him. He reached out to help me but suddenly stopped. His gaze fell on my chest. The chest binder had been torn during the fight. My chest rose and fell slightly, no longer able to hide. The Crown Prince's eyes changed from anxious to shocked. He opened his mouth as if to say something. My heart skipped a beat. It's over. I am really exposed now. Qing, you are a woman. I bit my lip and decided not to hide it anymore. I have deceived the Emperor and deserve death. Who told you that? Do you know what I fear? I fear you have a hidden illness, fear the secret you're hiding. Is it that you don't want to be close to me? He didn't finish speaking but my heart skipped a beat. At this moment the Imperial physician rushed over. Your Highness, Afis' injuries are too severe. He also needs a Heavenly Mountain Snow Lotus to stop the bleeding. I was anxious. Heavenly Mountain Snow Lotus is hard to find. The Crown Prince immediately ordered. Go to the East Palace storeroom and get it, no matter the cost. We must save AFU. He turned to look at me, his voice incredibly soft. Don't be afraid, I am here. He pulled me into the side hall. Why did you disguise yourself as a man? Was someone forcing you? I told him about my grandmother's obsession and the family's predicament. I told him everything. He listened, his brows furrowed. He reached out and gently wiped away my tears. You don't have to pretend anymore. I will ask my father to pardon you. His fingertips were warm and I instinctively dodged. But he held my shoulders. Qing, from the moment I saw that painting, I knew something was wrong with me. Even when I thought you were a man, I couldn't help but care about you. Now that I know you are a woman. He leaned closer, his breath on my ear. I love you not as a subject, but as someone I want to spend my life with. Just then an urgent report came from outside the door. Prime Minister Gao is leading people to storm the palace, saying he will expose Minister Mu's crime of deceiving the Emperor. He also brought the midwife from that year. The midwife from that year? How could Prime Minister Gao find her? The crown prince's face sank and he shielded me behind him. With me here no one can touch you. But Prime Minister Gao and his men have already reached the hall. Mu Qing has deceived the emperor. Your highness, if you insist on protecting her you will be guilty of the same crime. The crown prince clenched my hand, his eyes firm. I, the crown prince, will protect her. Who dares to object? But as I looked at his back my heart panicked. Prime Minister Gao led a group of old officials, followed by an old woman with white hair. It was the midwife from that year. The emperor's chief eunuch was also following. The emperor has decreed that Mu Qing be summoned to the hall for confrontation. This old woman can testify. The Mu family gave birth to a girl that year. The midwife nodded tremblingly. It was I who took the Mu family's money that year. And falsely claimed it was a boy. The crown prince stepped forward and shielded me completely. Everyone, the emperor has just woken up and cannot be agitated. Qing disguised herself as a man out of necessity. She is taking the imperial examination and serving the court. How has she wronged the country? The third prince jumped out. Your highness, deceiving the emperor is a serious crime. Are you disregarding the law for a woman? The law is meant to punish evil and promote good, not to force people to their deaths. Third prince. Assassination attempt in the East Palace, fire at the banquet, chase in the heavenly prison. Which one isn't your and Prime Minister Gao's doing? The evidence is all here, yet you dare to be so arrogant? He waved his hand for someone to present Prime Minister Gao letters of collusion with rebels, and the third prince's jade pendant. The ministers were in an uproar. Prime Minister Gao's face turned ashen. You're slandering me. Whether I am slandering you or not you can ask Father Emperor. Qing, come with me to see Father Emperor. Let you stand in front of people with honor. The crown prince took my hand and walked into the imperial study. In the imperial study the emperor looked at me with a complicated gaze. The crown prince knelt down. Father Emperor, your son is willing to give up his position as crown prince to guarantee peace and her innocence. She is not only innocent, but also helped your son expose the rebels contributing to the nation. I also knelt down. Your Majesty, although I have deceived the emperor, I have never done anything to harm the court. I implore your Majesty to investigate thoroughly. The emperor remained silent for a long time. Enough. I will spare you from punishment considering the crown prince and your contributions. You are innocent. Your Majesty, absolutely not. Silence. You colluded with the third prince to attempt rebellion. I haven't even punished you yet. At this moment the third prince suddenly drew his sword and pointed it at me. It's all your fault. The crown prince reacted extremely quickly and pushed me aside. He drew his sword and blocked the attack. Dare to touch my person? You're seeking death. The two began to fight and the third prince was clearly no match. He was constantly on the defensive, but he suddenly took out a sachet from his embrace. He threw it fiercely on the ground and smoke instantly filled the air. I inhaled a breath and felt dizzy. The crown prince also swayed. The third prince took the opportunity to escape. Xiao Xuanjing, Mu Qing, we have plenty of time. As the smoke cleared the crown prince supported me. Are you alright? I shook my head but then saw blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. He was poisoned. What poison is in this sachet? The blood from the crown prince's mouth made me panic. The imperial physician rushed over to take his pulse. His face changed drastically. Not good. It's lead mercury poison. The pain is unbearable when it acts up. If the antidote isn't found within 3 days he will die. Lead mercury poison, my mind went blank. This is the most insidious poison in the martial arts world. I was lucky to escape because I don't know martial arts. But the crown prince is likely in grave danger. The emperor also became anxious. Quickly find out where that rebellious son fled. The antidote must be in his hands. The crown prince's hand, which was holding mine, was sweating profusely from the pain. He still smiled and said, "Don't worry, I won't die. I haven't married you yet." Tears welled up in my eyes. "Don't talk. I'll go find the third prince and get the antidote." Just as I was about to get up the crown prince pulled me back. "He set a trap for you. I've had someone investigate his lair, Black Wind Village outside the city. That place is full of desperate criminals. Then I have to go too. You can't die." The crown prince sighed and took out a jade pendant from his embrace. "Take this and find the second in command of Black Wind Village. He owes me a favor." I took the jade pendant and turned to run out. I will definitely bring back the antidote. I rode my horse at full speed all the way to Black Wind Village. Upon seeing the jade pendant, the second in command readily agreed to help. His Highness the Crown Prince is my benefactor. Miss Mu, rest assured. I'll take you to find the third prince. The village was full of murderous intent. The third prince had been waiting for me. Mu Qing, if you want the antidote you can have it. But you have to promise me something. Leave the crown prince. Marry me as a concubine. You're dreaming. Then don't blame me for being rude. The third prince waved and the men in black swarmed forward. The second boss immediately protected me. But the other side had too many people and I was still targeted. Just as a knife was about to hit me, I suddenly remembered the self-defense techniques my master taught me. I dodged sideways and cut the opponent's arm with a dagger. But the third prince suddenly attacked from behind. A palm strike to my chest made me spit out a mouthful of blood. And I fell to the ground. He picked up the jade pendant I dropped. "Without this, who can help you? I'll ask you one last time, will you marry me?" I gritted my teeth and pushed myself up. No. Just as he was about to destroy the antidote, the sound of horses' hooves suddenly came from outside the stockade gate. Xiao Xuanqing let her go. I looked up and saw the crown prince being supported by guards. His face was pale and he had actually come in person. He was clearly poisoned. Why did he dare to risk coming? The third prince was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. "Your Highness the Crown Prince, you can barely save yourself. And you still came to save her. You will both die here today." The crown prince's eyes were cold as he drew his sword and pointed it at the third prince. If you want to touch her you have to get past me first. But he had only taken 2 steps when he started to run. The poison took effect and he trembled with pain. The third prince seized the opportunity and rushed forward, stabbing the crown prince with his sword. Just as the sword tip was about to pierce the crown prince's chest, I lunged forward like a madwoman, blocking him. With a poo-el sound, the long sword pierced my shoulder. Intense pain instantly swept through my body. I let out a muffled groan. This time it's my turn to protect you. Why did you block for me? He snatched the third prince's sword and stabbed him in the shoulder. Xiao Xuanqing, I will have your blood debt paid with blood. The second boss took the opportunity to charge in with his men. The men in black were instantly routed. The third prince roared in exasperation, clutching his wound. Kill them all for me. But no one was listening to him and they surrendered one after another. The crown prince held me, his voice trembling. Quick, hand over the antidote. The third prince, pinned to the ground, sneered. Why should I give it to you? Even if I did, she has a sword wound. Whether she lives or not is uncertain. The crown prince's sword was at his neck. If you don't tell me now, I'll kill you. The third prince was scared and pointed to a box in the corner. It's there, but the antidote has side effects. After taking it you will temporarily lose your martial arts. The crown prince ignored everything and had someone bring the antidote. He first fed me half a bottle, then drank the rest himself. The medicine took effect quickly. I leaned on his shoulder. Your Highness, I am glad you're alright. He held my hand, his fingertips ice cold. Don't do this again in the future. I can't live without you. Just then the sound of the Imperial Guards came from afar. The commander of the Imperial Guards read out the Imperial decree. His Majesty's decree, the third Prince Xiao Xuanqing has rebelled and betrayed the country. He is to be immediately escorted back to the capital. Escort His Highness the Crown Prince and Miss Mew back to the palace immediately. The guards stepped forward and took away the third prince. He turned back and glared at us, saying he wouldn't let it go at that. The Crown Prince ignored him. Let's go home. But as soon as we left Black Wind Stockade, we saw a group of masked men shooting arrows at us. The leader's figure was familiar. It was Wang Song, who had been missing for a long time. Mu Qing and old madam, today I will avenge my son. A dense rain of arrows shot towards us. The Crown Prince held me. There was no way to dodge. My heart tightened. He had just lost his martial arts. This arrow rain couldn't be blocked at all. At this critical moment, a figure suddenly rushed out and stood in front of us. It was AFU. Your Highness, hurry and go. AFU swung his sword to block the arrows, but there were too many. He was quickly hit by several arrows. AFU smiled and shook his head. My lord, I did my best. He fell to the ground and became still. I looked at Apis' body and tears fell. Wang Song's arrows were still shooting. The Crown Prince protected me. His back had already been hit by an arrow. This time let's see where you run. The Crown Prince protected me even tighter. Qing, don't be afraid, I will always be with you. But I don't want to die and I don't want him to die. Just then I saw a small stream not far away. An idea suddenly came to my mind. Seeing the arrow rain approaching, I pulled the Crown Prince and we plunged into the stream. The stream water was icy cold. We dived underwater. Arrowheads hit the water surface, splashing water. Wang Song's men searched along the bank. We floated with the current for a long distance before daring to show our heads. The Crown Prince's back was hit by an arrow and his face was pale. I helped him hide in a cave. Don't move, I'll help you pull out the arrow. I gritted my teeth and tore open his clothes, enduring the heartache. Clean the wound. He suddenly grabbed my hand. Qing, if we can return alive, I will petition my father to grant you the position of Crown Princess. I was stunned, my cheeks flushed. Just as I finished bandaging, footsteps were heard outside the cave. It was the Imperial Guard. The commander of the Imperial Guard bowed and saluted. Your Highness, Wang Song has been captured. After returning to the palace, the emperor was overjoyed and issued a decree of marriage. Mu Qing, with both wisdom and courage, was specially conferred the title of Crown Princess, to be married on an auspicious day. But as soon as the imperial decree was issued, the Empress Dowager stormed into the palace. Your Majesty, no. She disguised herself as a man and committed the crime of deceiving the emperor. She also caused unrest in the court and is not worthy of the crown prince. The third prince's remnants took the opportunity to stir up trouble. The court became a mess. Grandmother Empress Qingyi's contributions are obvious to all. If it weren't for her, this prince would have already died, and the rebels would not have been brought to justice. The Empress Dowager's attitude was firm. This Empress Dowager doesn't care, unless she can prove that she is worthy of the position of crown princess. Otherwise this marriage will never be agreed to by this Empress Dowager. The emperor was in a dilemma and had to postpone the marriage decree. I returned to my mansion and my mother said with red eyes. Just now someone was lurking around the mansion. It seemed to be the remnants of the third prince and the prime minister. As soon as she finished speaking, the housekeeper reported. Hongshou from Tianxiang Tower sent a messenger, saying that the remnants plan to harm me at the temple fair in 3 days. The temple fair is crowded and chaotic. They want to expose me in public, or directly silence me. After I told the crown prince, he immediately ordered, in 3 days I will accompany you to set up a net to catch them and capture them all. But looking at him, I suddenly worried that the Empress Dowager would interfere. And the remnants are still lurking. Can this marriage really go smoothly? 3 days later, the temple fair was crowded. The crown prince and I disguised ourselves as commoners and mingled with the crowd. As expected, not long after, we saw several men in black following us. They were indeed the remnants of the third prince. Proceed according to the plan. The crown prince whispered and secretly sent a signal to the Imperial Guard. As soon as the men in black were about to make a move, they were surrounded by the Imperial Guard. They were quickly subdued, but the leader of the remnants smiled before he died. His Highness the Crown Prince. Did you think the antidote had no side effects? The 1000 mechanism poison had already infiltrated your marrow. Within half a year, you would. Before he could finish speaking, he bit the poison and committed suicide. The Crown Prince's expression changed and my heart skipped a beat. Could it be that his poison hadn't healed yet? After returning to the palace, the imperial physician examined him again. Your Highness, the words of the Crown Prince's remaining followers were not false. The toxin remains, injuring the heart meridian. Long-term conditioning is required and you must not get angry. When the Empress Dowager learned of this, she was even more firmly opposed to the marriage. The Crown Prince's health is paramount. How can he marry a jinx? I have already chosen the daughter of the Minister of Rights for you. She is dignified and virtuous. The Crown Prince refused on the spot. I will only marry Qing. No matter how much time is left, I just want to be with you. My eyes reddened, but I suddenly remembered what Hongshou had said. There is a 1000-year-old ginseng that can completely cure the 1000 mechanism poison. It is in the Prince of Mobei's mansion. The Prince of Mobei is the Emperor's younger brother and has always been indifferent to worldly affairs. Would he be willing to give the Crown Prince the ginseng? The Crown Prince and I disguised ourselves and set off for Mobei. As soon as we reached the border of Mobei, we were ambushed. The Empress Dowager has ordered that Mu Qing be killed. Men in black swarmed forward. The Crown Prince protected me. Just as we were in a desperate situation, a troop of cavalry charged over led by the Prince of Mobei himself. Uncle Emperor has arrived. Seeing this, the men in black retreated. The Prince of Mobei took us back to his mansion. I had long heard that the Crown Prince and Miss Mu had deep affection for each other. Seeing it today, it is indeed well deserved. He readily produced the 1000-year-old ginseng. Take the ginseng. I hope you can resolve this court dispute. With the ginseng, we set off for home overnight. On the way, the Crown Prince leaned on my shoulder. Qing, wait for me. Once I am cured, I'll marry you with great fanfare. I nodded, my heart filled with sweetness. But as soon as we reached the outskirts of the capital, we saw eunuchs and guards rushing towards us. Your Highness the Crown Prince, His Majesty is critically ill and has summoned you to the palace. Immediately. His Majesty is critically ill and at such a crucial juncture. I looked at the Crown Prince with a sense of foreboding. Could this be another conspiracy? Arriving at the Imperial Palace, the atmosphere in the Imperial study was heavy. The Emperor lay on the bed, his breath weak. The Empress Dowager sat beside him, her eyes cold. Crown Prince, you are finally back. His Majesty is seriously ill and may not have much time left. The position of Crown Prince needs to be decided soon. The remnants of the Third Prince's faction took this opportunity to speak. Your Majesty, the Empress Dowager is absolutely right. His Highness is poisoned. He may not be able to bear the great responsibility. It would be better to appoint another prince. The Crown Prince's expression darkened. Father Emperor is still alive, yet you dare to discuss the succession. At this moment, the Emperor suddenly opened his eyes. He pointed at the Empress Dowager. You poisoned me. The Empress Dowager's face changed drastically. Your Majesty, what nonsense are you talking about? I found out. You colluded with the Third Prince. You wanted to usurp the throne. Crown Prince quickly apprehend her. Seeing that her plan was exposed, the Empress Dowager suddenly drew a dagger and pointed it at me. Anyone who dares to come closer, I will kill her. Grandmother Empress, let's talk properly. Don't hurt Qing. While the Empress Dowager was distracted, Ifan Shou snatched the dagger and subdued her. The guards rushed forward and pinned the Empress Dowager down. The Emperor, gasping for breath, held my hand and the Crown Prince's hand. I officially decree that Mu Qing be made Crown Princess. The wedding will take place immediately after the Crown Prince recovers. But as soon as he finished speaking, the Emperor fainted. The Imperial physician rushed to examine him. His Majesty is deeply poisoned and urgently needs ginseng to sustain his life. 1000-year-old ginseng. My heart tightened. The ginseng is still in the carriage. But the carriage was stopped by the Empress Dowager's people on the outskirts earlier. Can it still be retrieved now? Hurry and get the ginseng. The Crown Prince ordered the guards, but it wasn't long. The guards reported back in a hurry. Your Highness, the carriage was taken by the Empress Dowager's remaining forces. The Crown Prince and I immediately chased after them. We found them in a valley outside the city. The leader was the Empress Dowager's confidant. If you want the ginseng, release the Empress Dowager. The Crown Prince drew his sword. Impossible, you have committed many evils. Today you will surely be brought to justice. After a fierce battle, we finally recovered the ginseng. The Imperial physician immediately took half of it to make medicine for the Emperor. Not long after, the Emperor slowly woke up. His complexion improved a lot. The Empress Dowager was banished to the cold palace. The Third Prince's remnants were completely cleared out. The Imperial court finally returned to peace. The Crown Prince's poison also gradually healed under the effect of the ginseng. The Emperor issued a decree to set the wedding date. The entire capital was preparing for the wedding of the Crown Prince and me. My mother looked at me, her eyes red. Qing, you have finally overcome hardships and found happiness. You can finally appear as a woman. But the day before the wedding, I received an anonymous letter. It said, do you think it's over? On the wedding day, I will ruin your reputation. Who is it? Are there any fish that slipped through the net? I was flustered holding the letter. What will happen on the wedding day? On the wedding day, the palace was decorated with lanterns and colorful banners, and the guests were in full attendance. I was wearing a phoenix coronet and robes. But in my heart, I was thinking about that anonymous letter. Just as we were about to bow, a familiar voice rang out. Wait a moment. Everyone turned around and saw it was my grandmother from my hometown. She was being held hostage by a masked man. Mu Qing, you are getting married today. Why don't you ask if your grandmother in your hometown agrees? The Crown Prince stood in front of me. How dare you? Who are you? The masked man took off his mask. It was Wang Gao's son, Wang Zan. He's not dead. Still want revenge? I only asked for a civilian girl, but you ruined my reputation and caused the entire Wang family to be wiped out. Today I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. Grandmother suddenly broke free from Wang Zan's restraint. Don't do evil anymore. It's true that I favored sons over daughters back then, but my granddaughter has become the crown princess. She has also made great contributions to the court. I fully agree to this marriage. I couldn't help but laugh. Wang Zan was furious. He drew his sword and charged at me. Fortunately, the crown prince reacted extremely quickly and subdued him with a sword. The guards stepped forward and took Wang Zan away. Qing, let the past be the past. From now on you are my daughter-in-law. The wedding ceremony was completed. The crown prince and I looked at each other and smiled. Our eyes were full of happiness. But at this moment, the border is in urgent need of help. The Xiongnu are invading, requesting support from the imperial court. The crown prince's expression changed. Father, your son is willing to lead the troops to battle. My heart tightened. We just got married and we have to separate. The crown prince held my hand. Qing, wait for my triumphant return and then we will live a good life. But the Xiongnu are fierce. Will the crown prince be in danger on this trip? I handed him a sachet. I'll wait for you. This is a peace charm I made myself. Take it with you and be sure to return safely. The crown prince took the sachet and hugged me tightly. When I return I will take you to see all the mountains and rivers. The army set off. I stood on the city wall, watching his back gradually disappear. After returning to the palace I took the initiative to help the emperor handle court affairs. On one hand it was to share the burden. On the other hand it was to reassure the crown prince. But before long an urgent report came from the front lines. His Highness the Crown Prince was ambushed and trapped at Yanmen Pass. My heart sank and I immediately requested the Emperor. Your Majesty, I am willing to lead troops to Yanmen Pass. To rescue the Crown Prince. You are a woman and the Crown Princess. How can you personally go to the battlefield? Although I am a woman I have served as an official and understand military strategy. Besides, the Crown Prince is my husband and I cannot stand by and do nothing. I said firmly and the Emperor finally agreed. I changed into men's clothing and led the army towards Yanmen Pass. Upon arriving at Yanmen Pass, the city gates were already completely surrounded by the Xiongnu. I ordered soldiers to set up camp outside the city. In the dead of night I sent soldiers to sneak into the city to contact the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince was both surprised and delighted to learn that I had arrived. The next day the battle began and I personally beat the war drum. The soldiers' morale soared and they fiercely attacked the East Gate. As expected, the Xiongnu diverted troops to reinforce the East Gate. The Crown Prince took the opportunity to break through from the West Gate and the two armies joined forces. We decisively defeated the Xiongnu. After the battle the Crown Prince held me. You fool, don't take such risks again. I smiled and nodded. I saw a familiar figure in the crowd. It was actually Hongshou from Tianxiang Tower. She was wearing military attire. She was actually a spy planted in Dayan by the Xiongnu. Hongshou looked at me and sighed. Miss Mu, I was originally a Xiongnu princess. I infiltrated the capital to gather information. But I admire your character and could not bear to harm you. Then why did you help me? I was confused as to why Hongshou had repeatedly helped me before. Because His Highness the Crown Prince is a good ruler. The Xiongnu people also yearn for peace. I am willing to act as a bridge for peace between the two countries and promote a marriage alliance. Does a marriage alliance mean I have to marry the Xiongnu Chanyu? The Crown Prince's expression darkened. Impossible, Qing is my wife. No one can take her away. Your Highness misunderstood. I am willing to represent the Xiongnu and go to Dayan for a marriage alliance. There is no need for the Crown Princess to marry us. But at this moment, the Xiongnu Chanyu suddenly sent someone to provoke us outside the city gates. If you do not offer your Crown Princess, the war will continue. The Crown Prince was furious. But the Xiongnu army pressed forward again. We had just experienced a great battle and our forces were insufficient. Could we really win if we continued to fight? I watched the Crown Prince ponder and suddenly had an idea. I have a way, let me go see the Xiongnu Chanyu. The Crown Prince objected. No, it's too dangerous. Trust me, I have a way to persuade him. I said firmly and Hongshou also echoed. The Xiongnu have been at war for years and the people are suffering. The Chanyu must also not want to continue fighting. Shaking hands and making peace is the wise choice now. The Crown Prince also understood this and reluctantly agreed. I followed Hongshou to see the Xiongnu Chanyu. The Chanyu looked at me. The Crown Princess is indeed courageous, but if you want peace, you must agree to one condition. What condition? The two countries will trade and Dayan will provide grain and cloth. We will provide cattle, sheep and dairy products. For 10 years the two countries will not launch wars. This condition is not excessive and I immediately agreed. I will report to His Majesty and sign a peace treaty. I had heard of the Crown Princess intelligence long ago and seeing her today. Her reputation is well deserved. I am willing to forge eternal friendship with Dayan. The peace treaty was signed and the Xiongnu army retreated. The Crown Prince and I returned to the capital. The people of the capital lined the streets to welcome us and the Emperor was overjoyed. Crown Princess Mu Qingyi's outstanding contribution in cleverly repelling the slaves. Granted 100 acres of fertile land and in theft as a first-rank official. But at the celebration banquet a eunuch suddenly reported. His Majesty's cold palace caught fire, the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager perished in the fire. The laughter at the celebration banquet instantly froze. The Crown Prince's face immediately darkened. Investigate immediately and ascertain the truth. Rumors spread throughout the court. Some said the Empress Dowager deserved her fate. Others insinuated that the Crown Prince and I did it deliberately. I was anxious and confused. Although the Empress Dowager had done many evil deeds, her death was too tragic. If it is not investigated clearly, it may become a fuse for court turmoil. The Crown Prince sent his trusted confidants to investigate thoroughly. 3 days later the results finally came out. The captured culprit was actually a remnant of Wang Zan. He confessed that he wanted to frame us and disrupt the court to avenge the Wang family. During the interrogation, the culprit also revealed that the Empress Dowager's former subordinates. There are still remnants lurking in the palace, waiting for an opportunity. The Crown Prince immediately ordered a citywide search. Finally the last batch of rebels was captured. The storm subsided not long after and I suddenly felt nauseous and vomited. I couldn't help but gag. The Crown Prince quickly helped me sit down and summoned the Imperial Physician to take my pulse. The Imperial Physician's face showed joy. "Crown Princess, you are pregnant." The Crown Prince and I were both surprised and delighted. Just as we were about to share this joy, we saw the Imperial Physician suddenly frown. After taking my pulse carefully again, there is a weak chronic toxin in the Crown Princess' body. Although not fatal, it is detrimental to the fetus and requires careful conditioning. The Crown Prince's eyes immediately widened in anger. Who wants to harm Qing and the child? Guards, investigate immediately. Finally, the toxin was found in the tonic soup I drank daily to replenish qi and blood. The palace maid who brewed the medicine was caught and was terrified. Crying, she confessed that she was entrusted with a secret order from the Empress Dowager before her death. Fortunately, the dosage of the toxin was not large. The Imperial Physician said that as long as it is carefully conditioned it will be fine. The Crown Prince and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. But no one expected that. Behind this palace maid there was an even more hidden figure. After the palace maid confessed, the Crown Prince ordered a thorough investigation of all palace staff related to the Empress Dowager. The hidden dangers in the harem were completely cleared. I rested assured and continued my pregnancy. Every day after the court the Crown Prince would rush to accompany me. Personally supervise the Imperial Physician in brewing the fetal calming medicine, fearing that any further mistakes would occur. Days passed and my complexion gradually improved. The fetus in my womb also stabilized. But when I was 6 months pregnant, Hongshou suddenly received an urgent letter from the Zongnu, saying that she discovered that behind the third prince's rebellion back then, there was also the shadow of the Mobei royal mansion, and that so-called distant royal jade pendant was actually a token given by the king of Mobei to his confidant in his early years. The Crown Prince and I were greatly shocked. At that time the king of Mobei readily gave us a 1,000-year-old ginseng. How could he be related to the third prince? The Crown Prince immediately sent people to investigate secretly and the results confirmed that the king of Mobei had indeed colluded with the third prince in his early years. But later, seeing the third prince's failure, he withdrew. Giving ginseng was also to cover up his tracks. This old fox dared too. The Crown Prince was furious. He immediately wanted to send troops to Mobei to demand an explanation. Your Highness, please calm your anger. I am now 6 months pregnant. If you go on an expedition I really can't rest assured. Moreover, the king of Mobei holds military power. Rashly sending troops may lead to border unrest. The Crown Prince calmed down and thought for a moment, saying, "What you said is right. This matter needs to be planned carefully." But before we could come up with a plan, King Mobei voluntarily submitted a memorial, saying he wanted to personally come to the capital to beg for forgiveness from the emperor. The Crown Prince was suspicious and worried it was a hangmen banquet. But he couldn't find a reason to refuse. The night before King Mobei arrived in the capital, I suddenly had unbearable abdominal pain. The Imperial Physician's face changed drastically after the diagnosis. Crown Princess, someone added a potent poison to the prenatal medicine. The fetus is likely. My vision went black and I almost fainted. The dosage of the poison this time was extremely large. It was clearly intended to kill me and the child. The Crown Prince held me his eyes red and ordered the city to be sealed. Thoroughly investigate everyone who had come into contact with the prenatal medicine. Even if it means digging 3 feet deep, the murderer must be found. But after investigating, all clues pointed to King Mobei, who was about to enter the capital. At this critical juncture, Hongshou suddenly appeared with a squadron of Zongnu cavalry outside the palace gate, saying she wanted to help me uncover the truth. It turned out she had long suspected King Mobei's ambition. She rushed here specifically to help. Hongshou brought crucial evidence, a letter between King Mobei and the Empress Dowager. It clearly stated that I was to be eliminated before giving birth, and then seized the opportunity to launch a palace coup, and the one who poisoned me this time was King Mobei's confidant planted in the Imperial Academy. The truth was revealed. The Crown Prince immediately ordered the arrest of the traitor in the Imperial Academy. At the same time, a net was cast. The next day, as soon as King Mobei entered the capital city gate, he was surrounded by the Imperial guards who had been ambushed. His accompanying retinue was also subdued. I am the Emperor's own brother, how dare you touch me? Colluding with rebels to harm the Crown Princess and the Imperial grandson. Why don't you surrender immediately? Then the Crown Prince made King Mobei's crimes public. The entire court was furious. The Emperor decreed to strip King Mobei of his title and imprison him in the Imperial